Welcome to Real Estate Insight, here to empower and educate you in all facets of real estate. I'm your host, Andrew Michael Arroyo. Today's headlines are first-time homebuyers. What are the mortgage options available to purchase your first property? Should you buy a new home? Should you buy a used home? Or should you build a home? We will be exploring house hacking and discuss maximizing your property value. Plus, later on in the show, we're going to cover market update and investing in commercial real estate. Let's get started with today's hot topics and trends. First-time homebuyers are feeling the pinch. Property prices are rising and the competition is fierce. It's becoming challenging for buyers to enter the market. According to Housing Wire, it will take you on average 27 years to save a down payment nationwide, 30 to 40 years on both the East and West Coast, and between 15 and 20 years in the middle of America. But this is where the government programs come in, like FHA, which allows you to buy a property for only 3.5% down. But there's a catch. With the lower down payment comes mortgage insurance and higher monthly payments. So you risk biting off more than you can chew. Now let's weigh out the pros and cons. Joining me this morning is Sharon Seymour. Sharon, welcome to the show. First-time homebuyers, what can they do to navigate this challenging market?
That's a great question, Andrew. I think that first-time homebuyers have a great opportunity right now, especially because of the low interest rates that we are all seeing in the market. This gives them a great opportunity to purchase something that they could possibly live in for years and not just a first step property. This allows them to get a lower monthly payment and to feel more comfortable with purchasing. The challenge, of course, is the down payment. As Andrew was saying, you have to be able to save and have enough for these programs unless you're a VA. A VA loan would be 100% financing, which is a great opportunity. We have quite a few first-time home buyers using that program right now as well. I also have buyers who have elected to save the 20%, which I know, like Andrew said, takes years in the traditional sense. But many of these first-time home buyers, young families, are moving in with their parents and they're saving for 2 years to be able to purchase their property. And this is an idea that may sound difficult, but does pay off in the end.
So with FHA, it's quite nice. You have the 3.5%, which most people can have gifted or they could save that money. But one of the challenges is that every market has a different loan limit, meaning in Southern California, for example, per county, they set a limit on the max loan amount for FHA. So if the average price is above that loan amount, you can't utilize your FHA program. For example, if it's $700,000 and the average price is $800,000 or $900,000 in your area, you're not going to be able to use this program. So what are some of the other alternatives? Robert, I want to go to you. What are your thoughts? First-time home buyers, what direction are you pointing people in?
Well, thank you, Andrew. Hot topic for sure. And the good news is there are other programs, conventional programs out there where you can have as little as 3 to 5% down, depending on if you're a conforming or a high balance. If you're conforming, there's a program out there, a conventional program, and I've been looking at this for a while. It's called Home Fund It, and which allows you to actually solicit friends and family members for a gift funds for your down payment up to 3 or 5%, depending on if it's conforming or a high balance, which is absolutely fantastic. It's offered by CMG and it is a national program, so it's definitely something to look into. So you're not just tied to government programs. There are conventional programs. Certainly you're still going to incur PMI, but definitely explore those options.
And that PMI is private mortgage insurance, and all that means is the lender wants to have some security that if you were to default on that loan, that they're insured. So you're going to have an extra monthly payment. But I love the idea, very creative. It's almost like crowdfunding for your first down payment. What else is out there? Dorothy, you service a market that's quite expensive. I know in Orange County, for example, there's no way that most first-time homebuyers are going to be able to utilize an FHA program unless they're looking for like a condo, because the average home is probably going to be more than the FHA loan limit. What are you suggesting for your first-time homebuyers that are out there, Dorothy?
My first time home buyers, I say first we have to talk to a lender before we do anything. Don't waste your time, don't waste anyone's time. You have to find out how much you can afford. And once we have the pre-approval, then we know we can start weighing the other necessities that you have, like how much square footage you want and how many bedrooms do you want, okay? So if you need a lot of space, we probably aren't going to be looking right on the beach in Newport Beach. We are going to be looking more inland. Or if you're saying, I want to be in Newport Beach, I don't care, I want to bike to places, that's where all my friends are, then we're going to be looking at smaller square footage. So we weigh your pros and cons and what's important to you, your priorities.
That makes perfect sense. Now, buying your first home can feel like going on your first date. A lot of unknowns, a lot of questions. You might have your guard up a little bit. Maybe you're a little nervous, and you're going to have to share a lot of very personal information. But that's all normal. It's part of the process. But what's the right way? You mentioned some steps, Dorothy. What's the right way about going about finding your first home? And then once you find that property of interest and would like to make an offer, then what? Dorothy?
I say, so in this market right now, the way it is, you have to go in ready to fight. And I say, put your best foot forward right away. Don't play the game coming in low, seeing how much you can bring that seller down, because it is not a buyer's market right now. It's a seller's market. I've had some situations with my buyers that have not taken my advice of coming in with their best price, and they've lost out on a couple deals already. So I say come in ready to put your best foot forward and show them what you got.
Now, it's great advice. And Sharon, I want to switch back to you. As far as the process, A to Z, steps 1 through 5, what do you recommend first-time home buyers doing to kickstart the process?
Well, the first thing I always suggest is to find an agent that you feel is someone who's qualified to work with you, someone who is going to be there for you, to guide you and direct you in all the ways that and things that you need to deal with along the way. If you have someone who isn't completely vested into your situation, you might miss out on some properties. So find somebody you really like and you think is great that will be there for you. That's number one. Number two, like Dorothy said, we really need to get you a loan pre-qualification and to know what kind of loan program you're going to be using, what you can afford, where you're comfortable with your payment after taxes and insurance, so that you know what price you can go to when we're in the bidding war that we're in right now.
And Robert, let's walk through some of the steps, all great advice here. Once they have identified that property, what do?
Well, that's the time that you have to come together and be in sync. In part, that it starts with the education. I always sit down and have a mini university, if you will, with my clients, be it first-time home buyers or otherwise. But essentially, we talk about how you can put your best foot forward, how you can compete in a competitive market like this, and we start talking about what's most important to them, and then where can we compromise. A lot of times it may be in the negotiations where we'll talk a little bit about their walk-away price. And what I mean by that is at what price are you going to regret not offering if it sells at that price? So the walkaway price is huge. I have that conversation with every buyer. Just keep that in mind when you're negotiating. But it's so important to, one, laser focus on what's most important to you, and then compromise in other areas. So don't hold on to those other things. Let go and focus on what's most important to you.
When you're first starting out, it can feel as if the inventory out there is all used homes. But something you can also consider is buying a brand new home, or possibly even building a new home. So given today's market and the competition being so high amongst buyers, many people would say real estate prices are inflated. So is now a better time to buy a used home, or is it more a logical investment to buy a brand new home or even build your home? Sharon, you have experience here. You've been a home builder yourself for many years. I want to start with you. Where's the best place to be for first-time home buyers?
I honestly think that the home building process is probably a phase 2. It wouldn't be something that I would suggest for a first-time home buyer. I do think that housing developments who have homes that are coming off the construction finalizing process are always good opportunities. I feel like the first person in to a development or tract usually makes the most money, probably more than the builder does himself.
So what you're describing, Sharon, is at the very end of the inventory when a builder is liquidating, they might have a few homes left. They'll typically discount those last homes, or they'll give incentives to get the rest of the properties off the books and move forward so they can start building their new neighborhood. Right. Robert, what are your thoughts? Is buying a brand new home realistic, or should they stick to the resale market where it's just a lot easier to access those homes?
Well, you want to keep your options open, certainly, and exploring brand new construction is awesome. It's exciting, it's sexy. People, when they walk through the models, they want the model. They don't understand that there's a lot that goes into that model, and it's going to cost you a lot more in upgrades to make it look similar to that. So you want to keep that in mind. So it does seem like it's affordable up front, but certainly adding to that can be costly. So when you look at resale, what you see is what you get. And of course, there's a lot of rehabbed properties on the market, which we call flipped, that have been done very nicely. But at the same time, when you start lifting up the hood on some of these properties, they look new, they look shiny, they look sexy, but in fact, when you open up the hood, they've forgot to connect a few of the wires. So keep your options open, certainly, but either way, I think resale or new, it's really dependent on your budget.
And thoughts, Dorothy? Which direction are you sending your first-time buyers?
Well, one of my favorite quotes in real estate is, "Your first home is not your last home." And I reassure my clients this because they cringe sometimes at the options that they have, especially in Newport Beach and the surrounding areas. And I say, don't fret, because think about what you can build here. Use your sweat equity, buy something that's a little used and freshen it up, add your own twist. And as time goes on and the market ebbs and flows, it will eventually go up and you've added value to your property, then you sell it for more and keep going on, building up, and eventually you will be in your dream home.
All great insight. There is hope. Do not lose confidence. Markets go up and down, but if you get out there, you'll be surprised with what you find. Coming up next, we're going to turn our attention to interest rates, and we'll have a market overview that's straight ahead.